Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Gaurang Dhawanlal and with me is Renuka with the evening news. The headlines. Lok Sabha passes Criminal Procedure Identification Bill 2022. Rajya Sabha adjourned for the day following opposition uproar over fuel price hike. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks to Israeli counterpart Naftali Bennett, reviews India-Israel cooperation in various areas. President Ramnath Kovind reaches Amsterdam on a 3-day tour of the Netherlands. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur launches Broadcast Seva portal, will enable smooth communication between applicants and different stakeholders and speed up processing of applications. Over 48% rural households in the country receive tap water supply in their homes so far, says government. 75 digital banking units in different districts of the country to be set up in consumer-friendly manner. Vinay Mohan Quatra to be the new Foreign Secretary. In Pakistan, former Chief Justice Gulzar Ahmed nominated as caretaker Prime Minister. And in IPL, match between Sunrisers Hyderabad and Lucknow Super Giants underway at the D.Y. Patil Stadium in Mumbai. The Lok Sabha today passed the Criminal Procedure Identification Bill 2022. The bill seeks to authorize the taking of measurements of convicts and other persons for purposes of identification and investigation in criminal matters and to preserve records. It provides for legal sanction for taking appropriate body measurements of persons who are required to give such measurements, which include finger impressions, palm print and footprint impressions, photographs, iris and retina scans, physical and biological samples and their analysis, among others. It will make the investigation of crimes more efficient and expeditious and will also help in increasing the conviction rate. The legislation also empowers the National Crime Records Bureau of India to collect, store and preserve for records of measurements and for sharing, dissemination, destruction and disposal of records. The bill provides for empowering police or prison officers to take measurements of any person who resists or refuses to give measurements. Replying to a debate on the bill, Union Home Minister Amit Shah said the only motive behind bringing the bill is to enhance conviction rates in the country as well as bring down the crime rate.
इसके साथ साथ हमने ये सारे प्रयासों को एक दूसरे के साथ जोड़ने के लिए हमने एक सिस्टम इंटर ऑपरेटेबल क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम ICJS भी लाए और उसके माध्यम से सारे इनिशिएटिव को एक साथ जोड़ दिया जाएगा और ICJS में आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, ब्लॉकचेन, एनालिटिकल टूल, फिंगरप्रिंट सिस्टम और पुलिस स्टेशन तक ये सारी सिस्टम का उपयोग होकर एनालिसिस होकर हर थाने में कौन सा अपराध ज्यादा है, हर थाने के अफसर की किस अपराध की नाबूदी में दक्षता होनी चाहिए, इसकी ट्रेनिंग किस प्रकार से होनी चाहिए, हर जिले में किस प्रकार के अपराधों को रोकने की व्यवस्था करने की जरूरत है, ये सारा यहाँ से राज्यों को मान्य अध्यक्ष जाने वाला है.
Mr. Shah said the Criminal Procedure Identification Bill will act as the defender of human rights of crores of law-abiding citizens.
ये मैं जो कह रहा था कि किसी के साथ ये डेटा साझा नहीं करना है. जिसको ये डेटा का उपयोग करना है, मानो कहीं पर भी बलात्कार हो गया और कोई सैंपल DNA सैंपल मिला, तो उसको वो यहाँ भेज देगा चंडीगढ़ के यौन अपराधियों के सेंटर पर, वो मैच कर भेज देगा कि इसने किया है. उसको सारों का डेटा नहीं देना है अन्य अध्यक्ष, और इसके रूल्स भी बनेंगे, उसकी ऑपरेशन की सिस्टम भी बनेगी. इसमें देश से सबसे अच्छे फॉरेंसिक साइंस और इस क्षेत्र के एक्सपर्ट को रखकर हम इसका उपयोग सीमित करने वाले किया भी है. मगर इस प्रकार से देश की सबसे बड़ी पंचायत में 130 करोड़ लोग देख रहे हो, उस वक्त इतनी शंकाएं उत्पन्न कर किसी कानून के लिए आशंका खड़ा कर देना, माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, मैं इससे सहमत नहीं. उसका क्या मिसयूज हुआ हमारे समय. मैं आज भी कहता हूं कि पोटा देश हित का कानून था, एपीसमेंट में इसको रद्द किया गया. मुझे कोई संकोच नहीं है बोलने में. हम वोट बैंक की पॉलिटिक्स नहीं करते साहब, हम राजनीति में देश को सुरक्षित करने के लिए आए.
The Rajya Sabha has been adjourned for the day following an opposition uproar over the issue of a fuel price hike. When the House met after the second adjournment at 2 p.m., opposition members again tried to raise the issue, citing their adjournment notices, and created a ruckus. Members from the Congress, TMC, Left, TMK and others trooped into the well, raising the issue. Amid noisy scenes, the deputy chairman tried to run the House, but in vain. Later, the House was adjourned for the day.
Over 48% rural households in the country have received tap water supply in their homes so far. In a written reply in the Rajya Sabha today, Minister of State for Jal Shakti, Prahlad Singh Patel, said, out of 19.32 crore rural households in the country, 9.35 crore households are reported to have tap water supply in their homes so far. He said that in Goa, Telangana, Haryana, Puducherry, Andaman and Nicobar, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, and Daman and Diu provision for tap water supply to all rural households has been made. The minister said about 3.8 crore rural households are expected to be covered through tap water supply during 2020-23 under the Jal Jeevan Mission. Mr. Patel added that 60,000 crore rupees have been allocated in this regard. The Union Government has asked the Indian Banks Association to assess the impact of ongoing conflict in Ukraine on outstanding education loan of the students who have returned recently from the country. The government has also asked them to initiate stakeholder consultations in this regard. In a written reply during the question hour in the Lok Sabha today, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that, as per information received from the present public sector banks as on 31st of December 2021, a total of 1,319 students had availed education loan for study in Ukraine with an outstanding balance of 121.61 crore rupees. She said that the current situation is fluid and the government is closely monitoring the developments.
As announced in the Union Budget 2022-23, 75 digital banking units, DBUs, in different districts of the country will be set up so as to ensure that the benefits of digital banking are provided in the country in a consumer-friendly manner. This was stated by the Union Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Bhagwat Karad, in a written reply in the Lok Sabha today. He said that no funds have been allocated by the RBI for the setting up of DBUs, which are expected to be operationalized by the end of the current calendar year. He said that, as apprised by the Reserve Bank of India, a committee has been set up to prepare a roadmap for the successful implementation of the said program. The minister said that the RBI has further apprised that criteria such as the relatively higher percentage of women in the population, youth, MSMEs, exports, geographically and strategically important locations, the Northeast area, SHG penetration, moderate level of digital adoption, etc., will be taken into consideration while finalizing the list of 75 districts for the setting up of DBUs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today spoke to his Israeli counterpart, Naftali Bennett, and discussed the recent global events. He also reviewed India-Israel cooperation in various areas. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he is looking forward to welcoming him in India very soon. Mr. Modi conveyed his best wishes to Naftali Bennett for an early recovery after his COVID-19 diagnosis. He also expressed his condolences for the loss of lives in the recent terrorist attacks in Israel.
President Ramnath Kovind today reached Amsterdam on a 3-day tour of the Netherlands. After a ceremonial welcome at the Schiphol airport in Amsterdam, the president proceeded to the Royal Palace. President Kovind later visited the Keukenhof Tulip Garden, where a newly bred tulip was named by the First Lady of India, Savita Kovind. This was to honor the 75 years of diplomatic relations between India and the Dutch state. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur today launched the Broadcast Seva portal in New Delhi. The portal will provide a single-point facility for stakeholders to request for required permissions, registrations and licenses. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Thakur said the government has harnessed technology to bring transparency in the system and make it more accountable. He said the Broadcast Seva portal will reduce the turnaround time of applications and at the same time help applicants track progress. This 360-degree digital solution will reduce human interface and will be a major step towards ease of doing business.
इस पोर्टल के माध्यम से जो एप्लीकेंट होगा, जब उसने एप्लीकेशन दर्ज की तो उसको ये भी पता होगा कि वो एप्लीकेशन कैसे मूव कर रही है और बगैर किसी सिस्टम में किसी को पकड़ कर काम कराने की बजाय ये इंस्टीट्यूशनल फ्रेमवर्क जो एक होगा और जो पोर्टल पर इसका काम होगा वो अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी पारदर्शिता लाएगा और सिस्टम को जवाबदेह भी तय करेगा। और मुझे पूर्ण विश्वास है इससे हमारी क्षमता भी बढ़ेगी और ओवरऑल ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस में भी हम आगे बढ़ने का काम करेंगे।
The minister said the portal is a giant leap forward in realizing Prime Minister Narendra Modi's mantra of minimum government, maximum governance. The minister said that a newly launched portal will provide its services to the growing media entertainment sector.
मीडिया एंड एंटरटेनमेंट सेक्टर की मैं बात करूं, ये एक ऐसा सेक्टर है जो लगातार बढ़ रहा है। $25 बिलियन की इंडस्ट्री है, अगले 2 सालों में $30 बिलियन की हो जाएगी। अगर केवल मीडिया की भी मैं बात करूं तो मीडिया में भी सन 2000 में जहां पहला चैनल लॉन्च किया गया था, आज 2022 में 900 से ज्यादा सैटेलाइट टीवी चैनल्स हमारे पास हैं, 1762 से ज्यादा मल्टी सर्विस ऑपरेटर्स हमारे पास हैं और 350 कम्युनिटी रेडियो स्टेशन, 380 से ज्यादा एफएम चैनल्स हमारे पास हैं। तो अपने आप में देख सकते हैं कि आप कितनी ताकत मीडिया के क्षेत्र में बढ़ी है।
Speaking on the occasion, Secretary of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Apurva Chandra, said that the new portal has several improvements over the previous version and has incorporated suggestions from stakeholders over a trial period of 1 month.
The Sports Ministry will spend 190 crore rupees on the training of athletes and equipment for the upcoming Commonwealth and Asian Games 2022. The ministry has finalized the annual calendar of training and competitions for 33 sports disciplines and earmarked a sum of 259 crore rupees for the financial year 2022-23 as assistance to various national sports federations. The budget has been decided based on detailed discussions with 33 national sports federations on their planned competition and training calendar for 2022-23.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
क्या आप कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम की तैयारी कर रहे हैं? ऑल इंडिया रेडियो के नए प्रोग्राम अभ्यास में हमारे विशेषज्ञ आपके सवालों का देंगे जवाब। शनिवार रात 9:30 बजे एफएम गोल्ड पर। इस बार का विषय है इंडियन पॉलिटी एंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। आप इससे जुड़े सवाल व्हाट्सएप करें 9289094044 पर या सवाल ईमेल भी कर सकते हैं abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर। भारतीय संविधान और राजनीति विषय पर आपके प्रश्न हमें 5 अप्रैल तक मिल जाने चाहिए। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
FSSAI has launched Food Safety Connect app for food business operators and consumers. Download this app from Google Play Store and easily apply for FSSAI registration. Consumer can use this app to register food-related complaints.
Welcome back to the evening news from All India Radio. Here is a review of proceedings in Parliament today. First from the Lok Sabha. The writer is senior journalist S. Phukan. The Lok Sabha today passed the Criminal Procedure Identification Bill 2022. The bill seeks to authorize the taking of measurements of convicts and other persons for the purposes of identification and investigation in criminal matters and to preserve records. It provides for legal sanction of taking appropriate body measurements of persons who are required to give such measurements. The legislation also empowers the National Crime Records Bureau of India to collect, store and preserve the record of measurements and for sharing, dissemination, destruction and disposal of records. Replying to a debate on the bill, Union Home Minister Amit Shah said, the only motive behind bringing the bill is to enhance the conviction rates in the country as well as bring down the crime rate. The aim is also to spread a stern message in society by ensuring conviction in criminal cases. Giving data of conviction rates, Mr. Shah mentioned that as per the data of the National Crime Records Bureau NCRB in 2020, the conviction rates in case of the murders only stands at % while it is 24% in attempt to murder cases. He said adequate safeguards are available in the bill to ensure data privacy. Mr. Shah said the Criminal Procedure Identification Bill will act as a defender of human rights, of crores of law-abiding citizens. He mentioned that due to lack of evidence, 7.5 lakh criminal cases are closed every year in India. He added that the new bill will strengthen the criminal justice system of the country. The Union Home Minister also said that the government will bring a model act for jail reforms, which is under finalization. He said when finalized, the model act will be sent to the states. Under it, there will also be a provision for counselling of jail inmates. Earlier, moving the bill in the Lok Sabha, Home Minister Amit Shah said that the bill will replace the Identification Prisoners Act 1920 and would strengthen collection of evidence and further help the investigation. He informed that the government has held extensive discussions with states before putting forth the bill. Mr. Shah asked members to not look into the bill in isolation but also along with the upcoming Prison Act manual. Initiating the discussion on the bill, Manish Tiwari of the Congress raised questions over the intents of the bill and demanded for referring it to the Standing Committee of Parliament for wider consultations. He stressed that the government should come out with this bill by making improvements after holding consultations with civil society groups. DMK member Dayanidhi Maran said that the bill should be sent to the Standing Committee. Vishnu Dayal Ram of the BJP said that this legislation should be seen beyond politics. He said the legislation, when passed, will help the investigating officers to increase the conviction rate. NCP member Supriya Sule said that her party supports the bill but has concerns against some provisions of it. BSP member Danish Ali alleged that the bill gives immense liberty to the police, who can collect data related to the common man, and nobody is responsible for the security of that particular data. Opposing the bill, Congress member Gaurav Gogoi said that no assurance has been given by the government that whether the provisions of the bill will not be abused. Speaking in support of the bill, BJP member Dr. Satyapal Singh said that presently the conviction rate in India is only 14% and many accused walk away on account of lack of evidence. He said that this bill will not only help in collecting evidence and conducting the scientific investigation, but will also safeguard human rights. Other members, including Mahua Moitra and Saugata Roy of the TMC, Bahutruhari Mahatab of the BJD and E.T. Mohammad Bashir of the IUML also participated in the discussion. Home Minister Amit Shah assured the House that the bill has not been brought to misuse any personal data, but to establish procedures that is in accordance with the changes in time. He said the current law doesn't allow the taking of measurements of the body as per the latest technological advances, and that is a gap this bill seeks to address. He said that some states like Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal have already brought in some changes in their criminal procedure laws. He also assured that there is not a word about minorities in the bill and the opposition members should not raise it just to appeal to their vote banks. Countering the opposition charge on human rights, Mr. Shah said members should also respect the human rights of those who are victims of crimes. He further argued that countries like the United States and United Kingdom are among the countries that have such a law. Mr. Shah said the government will refer the bills to the Standing Committee when it later brings bills seen to amend the Code of Criminal Procedure or the Evidence Law. The Home Minister said the bill should not be seen in isolation, but along with the Model Prison Manual that will be introduced later to replace the Identification of Prisoners Act 1920. The prison model has various provisions like rehabilitation and mainstreaming of prisoners, limiting the rights of jail officials, maintaining discipline, security of jails, separate jails for women and open jails. He said Criminal Procedure Identification Bill will not only help in overcoming the issues faced under the current law, but will also strengthen evidence collection. The Home Minister said that until the power to prove a crime in a court of law is not increased, it will be difficult to strengthen the law and order situation and internal security. He said after the NDA government came to power, the centre had also sought the views of the states. Mr. Shah added that the Law Commission in 1980 had also recommended revisiting the present law. Noting that the opposition had raised valid concerns about the human rights violations, the Home Minister said those concerns have been taken care of. Earlier, members also raised the matter of public importance in the House.
And now a review of proceedings in the Rajya Sabha. Writer is Kumar Rahul of the PTI. The Rajya Sabha was adjourned twice during the pre-lunch period following uproar by the opposition members demanding a discussion on the issue of price rise. As a result, the House could not take up zero hour and question hour. Soon after the House met for question hour, opposition members were on their feet demanding a discussion on price rise. They wanted a discussion on the issue, including the hike in fuel prices. Earlier, several members from the opposition had given adjournment notices, which were rejected by Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu. Members who had given notice for suspension of the business under Rule 267 were Tiruchi Seva of DMK, Binoy Viswam of CPI, Abir Ranjan Biswas of Trinamool Congress, and K.C. Venugopal of Congress gave the notice for suspension of the business. The chairman also informed that Deependra Hooda of Congress too had given the notice to discuss the resolution passed by the Punjab Vidhan Sabha regarding the transfer of the Union Territory of Chandigarh. This notice too was not admitted by the chair. Earlier, in the day, 6 newly elected Rajya Sabha members, including 2 from BJP and 1 from the Congress, took oath in the House. They are Pavitra Margarita of the BJP, Rangvara Nardre of the United People's Party Liberal, J.B. Mathur Hisham of the Congress, Santosh Kumar of the CPI, A.A. Rahim of the CPIM, and S. Phangnon Konyak of the BJP. As soon as the House reassembled at 2 p.m. after having 2 adjournments, opposition members were again upon their feet demanding discussion on the issue of price rise of petrol, diesel and cooking gas. Sasnath Patra, who was presiding over the post-lunch session, tried to bring order in the House and called Union Labour Minister Bhupendra Yadav to reply to a discussion of working of the Ministry of Labour and Employment. However, the opposition members continued to protest while some of them trooped into the well of the House. Mr. Patra allowed a point of order raised by Derek O'Brien of the TMC, who asked the Women's Reservation Bill to be tabled on the floor of the House. Tiruchi Seva of DMK also raised the issue amid protest. He moved a motion under relevant rules demanding the suspension of business to take up the discussion on the issue of hike in oil prices. Amid the din, Mr. Patra allowed former Prime Minister H.D. Devagowda of JDS to speak, but the octogenarian leader could not speak amid the sloganeering by opposition members. Then the chair adjourned the House for the day. That's all in the Parliament Review. This is All India Radio giving you the news.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
The Union Government today appointed Vinay Mohan Quatra as the new Foreign Secretary. The Appointments Committee of the Cabinet has approved his appointment. Mr. Quatra is currently serving as India's envoy to Nepal. He will succeed Harsh Vardhan Shringla, who is scheduled to retire this month's end. In Pakistan, Prime Minister Imran Khan today nominated former Chief Justice Gulzar Ahmed for the office of Caretaker Prime Minister. Mr. Khan made the decision after approval from the party's core committee. Senior leader of the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Party, Fawad Chaudhry, said the announcement comes after President Arif Alvi sent letters to Mr. Khan and the leader of the opposition, Shehbaz Sharif, today seeking suggestions for the appointment of a caretaker Prime Minister. In his letter, President Alvi told them in case they do not agree on the appointment within 3 days of the dissolution of Parliament, they shall forward 2 nominees, each to a committee to be constituted by the Speaker. In a statement, the President's Secretariat said the Constitution has empowered the President to appoint a caretaker Prime Minister in consultation with the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition in the outgoing National Assembly. Mr. Khan is supposed to continue as Prime Minister until a caretaker Premier is appointed, according to the notification issued by President Alvi.
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court of Pakistan adjourned till tomorrow the hearing of the suo motu case pertaining to the ruling issued by the National Assembly Speaker, which dismissed the no-confidence motion on account of being allegedly sponsored by a foreign power. Over 184 crore 70 lakh vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said over 284,000 doses were administered yesterday. The recovery rate is currently at 98.76%. over 1,300 people recovered in the last 24 hours. Over 900 new cases were recorded in the same period, while 13 deaths were reported.
Polling passed off peacefully today for the biennial elections to the Bihar Legislative Council for 24 local authorities constituencies. An estimated 98% electors exercised their franchise during the poll. No untoward incident has been reported from any part of the state. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, one of the CRPF personnel lost his life when terrorists fired upon two CRPF personnel in Maisuma area of Srinagar city this evening, resulting in a critical gunshot injury to both personnel. The injured personnel were immediately evacuated to nearby hospitals for the treatment of their injuries. However, Head Constable Vishal Kumar succumbed to his grievous injuries. Keeping in view the huge rush of people and to avoid any civilian casualty, security forces exercised maximum restraint. The whole area has been cordoned off with the help of reinforcements, and search in the area is going on. Minister for Electronics and IT, Ashwini Vaishnav, has stressed on a new and dynamic legal structure to counter the challenges in cyberspace. Addressing the second conference on cybercrime investigation and digital forensics in New Delhi today, organized by the Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, Mr. Vaishnav said the need of the hour is to overhaul the legal structure which balances the right to privacy and freedom of expression. On the occasion, Mr. Vaishnav launched the revamped website of the CBI. He also presented 12 police medals for meritorious service and 2 extraordinary intelligence medals to personnel of the agency.
In the IPL cricket, Lucknow Super Giants were 120 for 4 in 16 overs against Sunrisers Hyderabad at D.Y. Patil Stadium in Mumbai when reports last came in. Earlier, Sunrisers Hyderabad captain Kane Williamson won the toss and opted to field first.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will have partly cloudy skies. The minimum temperature will be around 22 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 39 degrees. Mumbai is expected to have mainly clear skies, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature will be 26 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 33 degrees. Chennai is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature will be 26 degrees Celsius and the maximum temperature is expected to be around 37 degrees. Kolkata is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature will be 27 degrees. Srinagar is expected to have mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature will be 9 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 27 degrees. Muzaffarabad is expected to have mainly clear skies. Visakhapatnam is expected to have a partly cloudy sky. Hyderabad is likely to witness partly cloudy sky with the possibility of the development of thunder and lightning. Bengaluru will experience partly cloudy sky. Thiruvananthapuram is expected to have a partly cloudy sky. Puducherry is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. Also, Imphal is expected to have a generally cloudy sky with light rain or a drizzle. And Aizawl is expected to have a generally cloudy sky with light rain or a drizzle. Over 184 crore 70 lakh vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said over 284,000 doses were administered yesterday. The recovery rate is currently at 98.76%. Over 1,300 people have recovered in the last 24 hours. Over 900 new cases were recorded in the same period, while 13 deaths were reported. And now, before we close, the headlines once again. Lok Sabha passes Criminal Procedure Identification Bill 2022. Rajya Sabha adjourned for the day following opposition uproar over fuel price hike. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks to Israeli counterpart Naftali Bennett, reviews India-Israel cooperation in various areas. President Ramnath Kovind reaches Amsterdam on a 3-day tour of the Netherlands. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur launches Broadcast Seva portal, will enable smooth communication between applicants and different stakeholders and speed up processing of applications. Over 48% rural households in the country receive tap water supply in their homes so far, says government. 75 digital banking units in different districts of the country to be set up in consumer-friendly manner. Vinay Mohan Quatra to be the new Foreign Secretary. In Pakistan, former Chief Justice Gulzar Ahmed nominated as caretaker Prime Minister. And in IPL, match between Sunrisers Hyderabad and Lucknow Super Giants underway at the D.Y. Patil Stadium in Mumbai. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.